Well, David, welcome again. We're looking ahead to boost the budget. Let's hope that we can surpass last year's total. But first of all, I can't resist but ask you that in your role as a chief executive of a fan-owned club, what was your view of the European Super League when the news broke of that last week?
Well, firstly, thanks for keeping the media away from me. There's a lot of requests to be interviewed around that, but to be perfectly honest, just too busy. And but my personal view around it, I think it's just sheer greed. If you look at we're coming hopefully out at the back end of a global pandemic that I hope we'll never see again. And all of the clubs from the Championship down through the EFL, the National League North and South, are struggling for financial survival. So when you talk about distribution of funds in football, there's easily enough money in football. All the Premier League clubs are getting millions. I mean, you look at Newcastle's abysmal year, they're with 80, 90 million for that abysmal performance this season. And yet, there's clubs struggling to basically survive. And then the top six want to break away and create more money. It's just sheer greed. And for me, delighted in the way that the fans and the clubs and managers and players have reacted. I'd like to think it was over and done with, but I do think that it may come round again. But I think there's sufficient money in football, and I also think I'd like to think about what is changing, the governance. There's some government investigations into working parties looking at financing football, etc. I'd like to think that there'd be great distribution of wealth through the leagues to enable all clubs to have a bit more of the money that's being generated from our national game.
There's talk now of the government leading a strategy to involve the fans more. I know it's been whispered for 2 or 3 years, but suddenly this European Super League has motivated them to do something about it because they've realised the depth of feeling that it's drawn.
Well, it's not just the depth of feeling. I mean, it was great to see the fans come out and the banners like "We Want Stoke," call when United Stoke on a Wednesday night. That kind of thing's fantastic. It's because everybody wants to win and succeed, and the American system of it doesn't matter. There's no promotion, no relegation. You just get paid a sum of money depending on where you finish. That's not what it's about. Football is about winning. It's about obviously it's how you play the game and taking part, etc. But ultimately, every club is aspiring to progress and improve year on year, and just to get rewarded no matter where you finish in a league, it for me doesn't seem right. But also, if you think about what's gone on in the last 12 months, you look at our league, the distribution of funding, the report from, looking at how the money was distributed, looking at the governance in football, the problems we've had with accurate minute taking, the errors that are being made, it's raised it to a national profile. We've had calls, the chairman of this league have had calls with Keir Starmer. You're now seeing the DCMS bringing in a position to look at governance in football, and obviously this investigation into football and finance and fan ownership under Tracy Crouch. So we're starting to get some traction in relation to looking at how football is governed in the UK. And, it can't come too soon for me. We've still got to iron out some of the mess from last year. We've still got our appeal, which I'm sure we'll talk about shortly. But ultimately, things have to change, and we need a better distribution of wealth. Clubs need to look at different models, and I think Darlington, we're in a very good position. Yeah, we only may have about 1,000 owners and an average crowd of 1,500, but ultimately, I'm very proud of what we do and how we do it. And, and it does provide a solid base for the future and something we can build on. And it's that hope of, let's get it right in the football field. We're getting it right off the football field. Let's try and move up to the next league, and with our ambition of getting back into the football league where we deserve to be.
That brings us rather nicely to our club and this year's Boost the Budget campaign. Looking at the playing season last time round, it was short but sweet, wasn't it? FA Cup second round, FA Trophy quarterfinals, but a little too early to tell how we done in the league because we'd only played 11 games out of 42.
Yeah, I think if you look at the cup runs were fantastic, but I think Alun made a very disappointing exit down at Bristol. We should have done better. And in the trophy, I think we missed a massive opportunity to make it through to Wembley. But the team did well to get to where they were. They just didn't have the consistency there to perform, week in, week out, because of the breaks we had, because of the problems with COVID, because of the squad chopping and changing, stop start. But I think the team did very, very well in the cup runs. And the league, we did okay. But yeah, you're right. It was too early to say where we'd have finished in the league. We're only playing 11 league games or so, but there were some promising signs. I know we know where we need to improve, and we're already discussing what we need to do for next season.
I was going to say there, have you and Alan chatted about the various possibilities depending on the size of the budget you'll be able to operate under?
We do. It obviously is dependent on the size of the budget. We are talking. We know what we need and what we're looking for, but there's no rush. There's going to be a lot of players available in our belief, but we know we need to secure. We know the targets we're after. We know what we're trying to do, and Alan is looking at that and starting to speak to players now around next season. And it's an exciting time. It'd be just to say, we'll talk about books, the budget in a minute, and the targets, etc. But I think there were some promising signs last season. I think we can add to that, and hopefully we'll be more competitive and maybe a bit more physical this year.
Yeah. Last year's booster budget, it was £132,000. I can remember you and I chatted early on in May last year, and you said, I'll be happy with 80,000, but between you and me, Ray, I'd love 100. Mm-hmm. And it grew and it grew and it grew. And what an amazing last year it was. I think there was yourself, Alan, myself, Chris, a few other people just watching in amazement as the totalizer just kept going up and up over that bank holiday weekend. And it was a fantastic figure in the end, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. And those are the enjoyable bits about being a chairman, when you see, how much the fans love the club and how much they're prepared to do. I think it's going to be interesting this year. COVID has affected a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people who have been, left unemployed as a result. There are others who are in a better position because of the furlough, etc. So it's very difficult to predict. I'd love us to hit last year's target, but I think the fans will soon tell us how they're able to support. We've only played a small number of games last season, and I think there's an element of just saying, well, actually, I know people put money in, and it's been great to strengthen the club and help the club as we've gone through COVID. We've had to sustain that with the cash flow, etc., in a very, very difficult time. We couldn't have done it without the support of the fans. So going back into a new season, it would be great to have a similar sum so Alan can have a competitive squad on the pitch. It's very interesting when you look at what some of the clubs are doing and some of the money that's going around. We've talked to a couple of targets already, and we're seeing what they've been offered, and you think, this is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So it's going to be competitive again, and we will need to raise a similar sum in my view. But I fully understand from the fans' perspective that that's not possible based on where we've been in the last 12 months.
Yeah. It's true to say, isn't it, though, DJ, that even though Quaker TV was a fantastic success last season at bringing so much revenue into the club when we needed it at certain times, the sooner that we're playing games in front of fans, then the better, as long as we can have a reasonably full Blackwell Meadows.
Absolutely. We and there are some positive signs. We've seen where we are with the vaccine and the rollout, and we're in a bit of a 4-week lag at the moment, but I think you see that the total number of vaccines going out each week is still around about 2.7 million. 60% of the population with one dose, and about 34% with the second dose. So it's coming, and the projection is that we're still on track to hit the targets. And as the Moderna vaccine arrives in the next week or so, we'll start to see the numbers ramping up again. So I'd like to think that we were told to model for next season based on fans being back in. It wasn't a case of go with 25% or whatever. We'll have to wait and see where the government get to. But I think the trials that have gone on with Wembley this weekend have been interesting. They'll be looking for reaction from that, but also a couple of key dates: the 17th of May and then the 21st of June. Could see after 21st of June, provided there's nothing before then, we're back to normal. I do wonder whether there will be a requirement to show that you have a vaccine passport with 10 games. I don't know. I'm just thinking about how the country will open up again. And there may be some rules like that, but ultimately, if all of the adult population have been vaccinated, then we're probably in a much, much stronger position than a lot of the European countries that are still trying to fathom out a rollout and get their population inoculated.
Yeah, but the sooner the fans are back, the better. All being well, we're going to announce a couple of pre-season friendlies at Blackwell Meadows, and the fans will be able to come along and see the players. Some of them have seen the players on TV. They're not seeing them in the flesh for over a year, and that'll be great, won't it?
It'll be fantastic. I can't wait to have fans back in. It's going to be magnificent, Sabri back at the ground and enjoying themselves. And we're working hard off the field to try and improve match day experience and improve facilities for fans on the day. And I know Chris and the team are working hard on that behind closed doors. So we want to welcome fans back, and I can't wait till people in the ground. It'll just be wonderful to see everybody there again and see the tin shed bouncing and supporting the players. I think if you look at what's happened in the Football League, whether down the Premier League down, and it was no different to us. We struggled at home this year, and I think it's not just Darlington have struggled at home. You look at across the leagues. Liverpool have struggled at home.
Yeah,
and it's the absence of the crowd. It's the absence of that atmosphere that does spur the players on. And I know, talking to our players, it's different not playing in front of a crowd. And we have a very, very passionate crowd, and I can't wait till they're behind the lads again. And and Blackwell's bouncing, and we are celebrating Darlington, winning on the pitch again. It'll be fantastic. And I think that getting fans back in, it's certainly is something our players want to see, and certainly the board and the management team want to see as well.
Yeah. One thing we mentioned there was our appeal. Obviously, the business about grants or loans was one of the topics that occupied us for quite a while. Any further news about the appeal, about the National League's decision?
Well, there was a lot of stuff going on. There's been talk of an EGM with a vote of no confidence. We kept out of that, to be perfectly honest. I think there's, whilst I do have my concerns about the governance and control in the National League, and I've made those views very, very clear, I think there's a time and a place, and I think that the AGM is where individuals get a chance to speak and vote about whether we believe the board is capable and competent of doing its roles. So we didn't support the EGM, but I do believe that there is some action going on, and I think 19 clubs did support it, who were obviously more vexed than we were about the situation. However, we've got an appeal that's ongoing. Our appeal has been very professionally put together with the use of litigation lawyers. Support their Darlington fans, by the way, with their own internal counsel and supported by another individual, to produce a very, very detailed and professional document that we've sent to the league to hear. Our appeal, we requested a personal appeal, and that will be held on Teams, so we don't have to attend down at Wembley. But it's going to take place now the first or second week of June. We've been given some dates, and we've responded to those dates. But from knowing our position inside out, and knowing the angle we're going to go at from the appeal, I'll be very, very disappointed if we lose the appeal. But we're dealing with the FA. We're dealing with some of the issues that have been. You've seen the problems that the leagues have had over the last 18 months. So I'm just hoping that with it being heard by QC, that they will see the legal opinion and recognise our justified arguments around just cause, and that the club wins its appeal. I know it is dangerous ground in relation to the league had to take action about clubs, the anarchy that was breaking out, and clubs deciding what they're going to do. I spoke to the league about this and said, you've got to come out and communicate. There's been an absence of communication. It's something that the league has got to improve. But ultimately, we made the right stance at the right time, and I'm confident with the evidence that we have submitted that we have a very, very strong case, and I'll be very disappointed if we don't win.
Yeah. So that's going to happen in June, David. Hopefully by then we'll have surpassed last season's figure by the end of May of £132,000, eh?
That would be wonderful. I mean, look, Darlington fans just continue to, I can't speak highly enough around what they do. I'll be delighted whatever we get through if To be competitive, we're going to have to reach six figures. I know that. Whether we can surpass 132, it would be fantastic if we did. But let's see. There was certainly more people got involved last year, which was good, and it would be great to give Alun a fantastic chance of putting together a very, very competitive squad that hopefully will compete at the top end of the table.
And let's just hope as well, in the middle of August, we've got to pack Blackwell Meadows and everybody has stayed safe in the meantime.
Absolutely. We're going about safety. It's something that you'll hear from me all the time in the governance of being a director. Health and safety of our players, staff, employees, fans is of paramount importance. But I'd like to think that, from a UK perspective, that the country is returning to normal mid-June, and we can have fans back in the ground, and we can have the atmosphere back at Blackwell, and we can return to normal, and we can have people coming down and enjoying themselves on a Saturday. Let's be honest, we all work very, very hard during the week. It's nice to have that release the weekend and see football. Interestingly enough, our over 40 side, my over 40 side is playing again, and it's great. We had 100 people watching the other night in a 0-0 draw with Pelton, who had 5 ex-Newcastle United players playing for them. But I think Sherwood are going to win the league, so that's I'm very positive around that. But it was great to see so many people come out to watch a game of football, in different groups. And I think the same will be when we get back to Blackwell. I think you'll find that people will come, they'll want to see it, they'll want to entertain, and just feel as though we're turning back to normal. So it'd be great to get the crowd back in Blackwell.